Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. Yeah, we might as well do it again, right? Another
do
day,
it again.
Another dollar. Or whatever I pay you. I think I pay you in dollar store.
Pay me a steak. I'll take it medium.
I don't like how you said that.
That's right.
Breeze Nation, what's good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Morning Breeze. Got to talk about a few different things on this episode. ESPN grading Luther Burden the steal of the draft, the number one player selected in this draft based on positioning. We'll get Matt Miller's thoughts on that. And apparently, Chicago Bears were looking to replace the running back position at all costs, but they didn't go after it. And the conversation is more about, did the Bears kind of shoot themselves in the foot with this whole running back situation? Seems like you just kept trading to the spot right behind where the back was supposed to go. And does that mean that Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins could be a lock to the Chicago Bears? Ladies and gentlemen, the date is 5/1/2025. It's 7:02 in the morning. And Jordan JC.
Yep.
That steak's going to be late this month.
Take it. I don't like late steak. One thing I don't like. I don't like a late steak.
You need a 12 a.m. steak.
I need a steak on time. Medium and on time.
I've seen you order a steak at places steak shouldn't be ordered.
Oh, McDonald's.
I've seen you order a Popeye steak, buddy.
That's their secret menu. Only I know about it.
Only you know about it.
Can I get that 8-piece steak wing? You got
steak bite. Just straight steak bite.
That would be crazy.
So much steak mentioned on this show. We got to get a steak sponsorship, man. Hey, man.
What are we waiting for?
Subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Don't just listen to me say it. Actually do it. Take the time
Do
out. Right now. There's like 90 of y'all in here. Just right there.
You can do it, baby.
Steak wings is nuts.
Steak wings.
You gotta get in on those.
That actually would be kind of crazy, like fried steak wings. How would they even do that? I don't know. Whatever.
Not really. Fried steak is fire. Country fried steak.
But in a wing fashion, like wings?
I would say you take the whole T-bone and just dip it in.
Oh,
you got to be able to grab it, though. You got to be able to grab it. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
George JC, what's going on, my guy? How you feeling?
What's going on, man? I had a good day. I actually stayed up and watched all the rest of the NBA games. Pretty good for final results. I know we'll get into that later in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah. We got that coming on the national show today.
Oh, man. But, feeling good. Constant running back conversation. I know you love that. We've been talking about running backs for the last month.
This is insane how much we've talked about the running back position.
I love it.
Listen, the one thing that I will say is that as we continue to talk about it is hopefully this is a sign that it's all we need. Like, that's really kind of all I feel. Yeah, he's like, oh, well, they so focused on the running back, maybe that's all they feel we've got left to fix.
That's the only hole. All right, never mind.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there. Let's jump into this conversation, though, Jordan JC. As Matt Miller dropped this article yesterday, ranking the 100th best picks, steals, and fits of the 2025 NFL draft. And he goes on to talk about how this list basically is, it takes into account where each player fits in, how he could be utilized in the offense or defense that they're going to be going to. And essentially number one right now on that list, Luther Burden, the third wide receiver from the Chicago Bears, is listed as the biggest pick. I said pick of the draft, is listed as a great steal as well for the positioning in which he was gotten. What he says is, Burden was my top wide receiver in the class. I'm counting Travis Hunter as a two-way player. I think you could count Luther Burden over Travis Hunter as a receiver anyway. And he landed in a great situation with the Bears and new head coach Ben Johnson. Burden's yards after catch ability is terrific, and Johnson's scheme has been elite at creating space for wide receivers. Burden likely starts as a slot receiver with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze flanking him, but he thrived in that alignment at Missouri. When you hear that, Jordan JC, to get you a little more tingly on the fact that, listen, there were a lot of times in this draft where it felt like the Bears, and we'll talk about, of course, trading up and different things like that, they missed out on their guy. But if you're going BPA, if you're going best player available here in the second round, I'd probably still say Mike Green is number one, but offensively, Luther Burden is probably number two on that list right there.
Yeah, I put Mike Green up there as well. I know we were both just wondering, man, if we could get him with that next pick, and then Baltimore got him, that would have been nice. But I mean, Matt Miller has Luther Burden as his final overall ranking is number 13 on the draft board, 13th, and we got him at 39. And so for me, that is a huge steal in the draft. You had other receivers go before him, and Ted McMillan. You had Matthew Golden go to the Packers. For whatever reason, Luther Burden was overlooked, undervalued. I don't know why. I mean, you look at the video, you can see just how electric he is. 4.31 speed, I believe. Extremely fast. Yak. We already talked about all of the things. Yep. And then, of course, the perfect fit with how Ben Johnson, utilizes his wide receivers. I think this is the perfect marriage. And so I'm right with Matt Miller. Obviously, I'm a Bears fan, but biasly, I don't think that this is a far-fetched explanation for why he would be the steal of the draft, other than Cal Monungai in the 7th. I'll say boy, that. I feel that way. But I will say,
big Manun guy?
I'm a big Manun guy, and I'm telling you, 10th week in the season, he's number one. But anyway, I feel like Luther Burden, yes, is a steal of the draft. There were so many other times that he could have been picked. He was talked about being in the first round. He is a first-round talent. That's where his value stood. Yeah. A lot of times, even in the mocks that leading up to the draft. And so when you get him in the second round, yes, BPA, even though we missed on a lot of other chances to get running backs, as we'll get into later, I feel like it was made up with getting a talent like this. And I'm happy that he's on the team, man.
Yeah, listen, I think here's the big thing, right? It is about the use that he can get on this team. It is about how he's going to be utilized. And the one thing that we talked about yesterday with, the rookie impact that could be had between him and Colston Loveland is, there's going to be games where they're focused on Colston Loveland. There's going to be games where they're focused on Luther Burden. There's going to be just about every game where they're focused on DJ and Rome, right? Just because the rookies haven't proven it yet. Luther Burden's going to have the opportunity, especially if he is slotted in as that slot receiver, to dominate, because we know that's where Ben Johnson had Amon-Ra St. Brown a ton up in Detroit, right? That's where a lot of those yak yards come from. Oh, by the way, we continue to talk about him as a yak monster. Listen, if he can hold on to the football, the fact they can't hit you over the middle with his size and weight, he could be one of the top yard-wise receivers on this team. I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of the yardage gained by certain players this year versus the actual touchdown production too. But if you're telling me in his rookie year, Luther Burden could be a 700-yard receiver as your third receiver out of the slot, I think you're in a great spot right now, especially just for moving the football down the field. Now, again, right, everything's got to be played out on the field. On paper, everything sounds great. This kid sounds like he's going to hit the ground running. We don't know, how his rookie year is going to go, how he's going to start off. But it does just feel like the Bears have yet again added this embarrassment of riches, but they finally got the front part right, where it's like, hey, maybe we should protect the quarterback before adding all of the riches. At least it feels like they got the order right this time.
No, totally agree with you. I think that he's coming from a situation in Missouri where he was already used in the same way that he supposedly will be used on this team. As that yards after catch ability, starting maybe in the slot, being that wide receiver 3. And I talked about this before when we mentioned Luther Burden being on the team and what we think his rookie season will be like. I think he'll start slow. And I compared it to how Rome Odunze kind of started in his rookie season. But I think over the course of the season, later on you get into, the weeks and he gets a little bit more used to the season. I think, hey, we talked. What did we say he was going to throw?
Yeah, I said 6,000 yesterday. I was like,
6,000. Oh, now it's 8,000 now. Just breaks all kinds of crazy records. Like utterly ridiculous. With all the weapons we talk about, he just have the most epic season. But I think Luther will continue to become more comfortable within this offense, and Ben is going to make him comfortable within this offense because he can kind of go about it slowly. With Zacchaeus being there and with DJ and Rome kind of already leading the pack, you don't have to rely on him. And so, a 700+ yard season, that would be epic. That would be really good from the wide receiver 3 position. And I think that Luther Burden has the ability to do that easily.
Yeah, listen, the hope is at a minimum, right? He comes in kind of with those Rome rookie year numbers where Rome Odunze, he didn't get really catch consistently, I should say, until later on in the season. He was kind of, not forgotten, but the ball wasn't getting to him. Him and Caleb weren't lining up well early on. And I think that's going to take some time too. That's the part where, having guys here who were here last year is going to be important. I hope that it happens quicker this season, but it took a while for Caleb to get on board and to kind of figure things out with his offensive weapons, right? Him and DJ were on completely different pages well into like week 11, 12 of the season. Him and Rome were on completely different pages in the same sense, right? For well into the season. And I don't know if everything just hits the ground magically running. Now, maybe Ben Johnson, changes that as well. He comes in as this offensive dominant guru, right? But like, it took a while for Caleb to get used to the receivers that he had and get used to, how the NFL speed was going to attack him and the pressures were coming and the sacks were coming. He's got to be right in those moments. The good thing for Luther Burden, I think, over, kind of where Colston Loveland is Luther Burden's going to be closer to the line for him.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland, I expect to be down the field. So, hey, you got to go up here and get this deep ball that may or may not be accurate, which hopefully it's more accurate this season.
Yeah. Another thing I think that when you talk about Caleb Williams and his connection with the receivers. Now, I'm not sure if this is technically a weak point because I've seen Caleb Williams throw the ball in tight spaces and kind of throw his receivers open. But another maybe addition to what Luther Burden brings in, it was mentioned in what you talked about, how Matt Miller said, Ben Johnson tries to scheme his receivers open. That's something that Luther Burden is very good at, is creating space. We know that Rome Odunze is continuing to elevate his route tree and being a better route runner and creating space as well. DJ Moore is good at it. Like so in this offense that they're trying to build, this system, I think the key is for the wide receivers to find ways to get open more. You have your Colston Loveland, who's also an elite route runner as well. And so I think there's going to be times where that's where you utilize Luther a lot, is where he's going to find, as I mentioned before with Colston, spaces in those defensive zones, those schemes where kind of like Travis Kelce-ish, those type of, where you just find those little soft spots. And that's where, you can kind of get utilized a little bit more. And I think Caleb will become more and more comfortable with maybe going to Luther later on in the season. But I do see him as obviously the steal of the draft. The fact that he was still there in the second round, surprising. I don't know why there was, I don't think there was any issues with him. I know that there was something that was said about maybe he doesn't necessarily practice or train as hard, like his off-season regimen or whatever the case may be. I don't know if that's really a big deal or not, but the fact that you have him paired up with this coaching staff, I think they'll bring the best out of him.
Well, I think what ended up happening is that you also had some additions come in there, right at the wide receiver position that took some of the passes away from him, right? Like you had he was the number one guy until what's Buddy name? I'm trying to think. Theo. He got a weird last name. Theo is it Weiss? Theo West? Weiss, something like that.
Okay.
But he was the number one guy in the offense, and then Theo Weiss showed up, and now you got to split time with another wide receiver in the offense. And Missouri wasn't this elite passing offense. So when I'm getting you all the targets, I mean his targets went from 80 plus to 60.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I should say his receptions went from 80 plus to 60. That's kind of where that difference comes in from year over year. So I think that's why he ended up dropping, right? The numbers essentially got cut in half in one season. But again, you drafted this young man number 2, who on most teams, if you go to him, you're talking about him as probably the best wide receiver in the draft, probably one of the best young wide receivers coming into the league and what he could be able to accomplish. A very DJ Moore type of player, right? And you got that guy in the second round, and he's going to be the third wide receiver on your team.
Yeah.
And realistically, he could be 3, he could be 4, depending on how you use Colston Loveland. Like it is a embarrassment of riches on the offensive end. It's going to be very interesting to see how Ben Johnson puts it all together.
Just
on that same list, since we brought up Colston Loveland comes in as the 7th best pick in the draft.
Look at that.
Tight end Chicago Bears, 2 top 10 picks. Now maybe you'd want Colston Loveland a little higher, but Colston Loveland was projected to go in that top 10 to 15 range, so it's not surprising. What Matt Miller said about it was, I had Loveland as my number 1 tight end, and apparently the Bears agreed. They made him the top tight end drafted. His ability in the passing game, he runs routes like a receiver, and he has speed to separate from linebackers and safeties. Makes Loveland an easy comparison to Sam Laporta, whom Bears coach Ben Johnson had great success with in Detroit. Value, need, and scheme fit all match with this pick. I agree. Listen, we've talked about Colston Loveland ad nauseum at this point. You went from being not thrilled by it to looking at this young man and seeing somebody who can actually go out there and dominate. There he is. That's right. He couldn't believe it.
That was the initial pick.
He couldn't believe it. That was at the end. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I am completely sold on Loveland now. I am part of. I would love to go to Loveland. Like that. I'm a fan now. I did not realize. Oh boy.
But no, man. I think that this young man is going to be a beast. And he just fits exactly. Again, I like the fact that out of this article with both names, it's just like, not only does the value make sense where you got these guys at, but also the scheme fit is perfect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I feel like the Bears were looking for in this draft, more so than just going out and getting dudes that have amazing talents. Like, okay, well, how does he fit in? Because we have a lot of really good pieces on this team already.
Well, Ben Johnson's shown you to be a genius over the last 3 years with Detroit of knowing how to utilize every special position. That's right. Oh, Benny's here.
It's going to be fun.
That's right. It's like he knows how to utilize his running backs, and he utilizes both his running backs, as we saw with David and Jameer. He utilizes his receivers well. We saw that with James On and Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta with the tight ends as well. And so when you connect that to what he's trying to do here in Chicago, all of these core positions are going to stand out. They're going to be utilized. And that's why, you feel like, the Colston Loveland pick and the Luther Burden pick not only is a special picks because of where they were taken and how people feel about them, but again, the scheme and the system, it just matches with their talent. It matches with their skill set. And I think it was somebody who had said that when Colston Loveland came to the Bears, I forgot who it was, that all the calls to trade up started like ending. Yeah, he said it just stopped. He was like, that's how you know how many teams actually were trying to go up and get him. I had no idea how good Colston Loveland was. He was hiding in Michigan. I'll be honest with you, didn't watch a lot of Wolverine games. I did check
Okay,
out
you didn't
a
miss
lot of
much.
Penn State games. Yeah, that's why I was a little uninspired about when we got them. But the fact that you hear that and say all these teams, the call stopped after you got him at 10, that's saying something about how good of a player he is. So I love it. Both steals.
Man. Love to see it. Love to see it. Listen, we got to talk about the draft because apparently Chicago Bears, for everybody that was on my heels. Oh, well, if they wanted to draft the running back, they would have just took one earlier. Apparently, the Chicago Bears were trying to trade up the entire time, and you just didn't know it. Crazy, ain't it? We got to talk about the Bears trying to trade up in this draft and ask the question. At a certain point, do you just stand pat? We'll talk about all that more coming up next as we're going to take a quick break and listen to our sponsors over at cue that Aura music. Aura. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Welcome back. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Just talked about Luther Burden being ranked the steal of the draft, the number one best player selected in this draft by ESPN. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk about the state of these Bears at the running back position. Because it seems like, according to Dan Wiederer, that the Chicago Bears are not thrilled about where they are with the running back position right now. As according to Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. I know what to do. The Bears were focused on landing a few different running backs. Most notably, though, Dan Wiederer writes, was Ohio State's Travion Henderson. He talks about how the Bears made phone calls to see whether or not they could trade up for Boise State's Ashton Jeanty in the first round. And they believed that Henderson was the more realistic target. On Friday evening, fingers in Hallis Hall draft room, this from Dan Wiederer, remained crossed that a swing at landing a playmaking running back would connect. Poles pressed the gas and made aggressive attempts to trade up. Henderson's blend of speed and vision, plus his tenacity in the pass protection and skill as a pass catcher, were alluring. The Bears had significant interest. So, outside of taking my victory lap on the fact that
shut up
means they don't want DeAndre Swift, but now they got to work with him. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just like kind of obvious.
Oh, we actually want you here.
Ben Johnson said that he likes him.
Yeah, okay. You're so hostile with DeAndre Swift. What's wrong with you?
It's like, oh, I can only read the tea leaves and like see that they don't want this dude here. They would have drafted a running back earlier. Oh, okay. Tried to. But what I will say is this, Jordan JC, not the whole victory lap, not that situation. Punter. But
okay.
At a certain point, right? You saw the Bears trade back at 41. You saw the Bears trade back again at 72. You saw the Bears trade back again. Like there kept being this continuous trade back when it seemed like, okay, well, you know what? We'll get Cam Scatterbo. Oh, darn it. All right. We missed out on that one. Well, you know what? We'll go get Jaden Blue. Well, actually, we're going to take a linebacker here and let Jaden Blue stay on the board, right? Like
hypocrite or whatever.
It seemed like at every turn, the Bears were trying to trade out because they didn't feel like that player was the best player available or there was value there, right?
Mm.
At a certain point, you just got to go, well, we think this guy is going to be good. We got to take our guy no matter where the value is, because now you're sitting here in a situation where we got to talk about this as well, right? Where you're talking about signing 2 running backs, both who have injury issues coming off of coming off of a season last year with J.K. Dobbins with the Chargers and Nick Chubb with a broken foot coming from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And you're basically going, all right, well, I guess we'll figure it out, which now they got to say, right, we're excited to work with Roschon Johnson. I hope that Roschon Johnson works, but we know he's got concussion issues. Your thoughts?
Yeah. And by the way, Relentless Mike, I did call him hypocrite. I know his name is Hippolyte. I'm just being a little goofy.
I just my man like that. That's not. That's
it's just being silly.
I didn't even peep that.
Yeah. No, I actually said it. Relentless got some good ears because I said it really quickly. But no, my thing as far as with the running back conversation, look, we heard before the actual draft that there were going to be a lot of rumors of the Bears trying to trade up into the 6th or the 5th or the 4th pick for whoever. The BPA, whether it would be for the Mason Grahams or Abdul Carter. We were all getting giddy for that, and I was looking forward to it on draft day. That was another reason why you had that. I had that face because I'm like, we were looking to get one of those guys, and I was just completely I couldn't believe it. Nothing went our way. That's actually the best one. Jimmy in the bubble playoffs. Like, I gave everything I got. I didn't even get a haircut for 5 months.
I bet you thought you were getting that running back, didn't you?
Stabbed it. Thought Jinty was going to come to us, but alas, okay, that ship sailed, right? And I said, okay, well, obviously, let's get your guy. You were high on Travion Henderson because of all his skill set, him being a really good pass blocker as well in the running back position, his speed, his ability to see the hole and cut through the hole. Like, there's a lot of things that he does well as well. And so I was looking for that. End up being taken a pick before 39 by the Patriots. And so that's where I'm like, okay, well, if things aren't going the way we need them to go, let's get our plan B together, which I thought was very good in getting Luther Burden. Yeah. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, do you just kind of go with best player available? If we were to pick someone at 49, say we were to get Cam Scatterbo and kept 41, I would have been a little bit irritated at that because I believe his value would have been 3rd or 4th round. And so that's where I say, okay, do you just go after best player available still in those rounds rather than trying to go after the position that you keep missing on? I'm fine with that because as we found out in the 7th round, we got a guy who, by all accounts, was the best running back in Big Ten, statistically, over the Quinshon Judkins, over the Travion Henderson.
So hey, you gotta take that with a grain of salt though. Like yards wise, yes, he was. Travion Henderson got his 1,000 whatever it was 92 in like 140 carries, right?
Yeah, well, whatever. I said what I said. All right,
big difference.
Did they load up the box at Ohio State?
They were not loading up the box.
Yeah,
right. I will say that. I give you that. Right. I give you that.
Yeah, Manon guy was the only guy in that offense. They were trying to stop him. They couldn't. But my point is that you if you miss, you just continue to get best player available. You address other issues. The only miss, I think, was the linebacker, in my opinion, in the 4th round. Every other position you continue to address. If you can't hit when you want to hit, like Ryan Poe said, you don't mess up your draft board. You don't sacrifice value in the later rounds or next year's draft picks just to try and move up. It was kind of funny because a lot of people said at that very moment when he mentioned that during the press conference, Ben Johnson looked at him like, yeah, you know what I wanted to do. It was almost like he had a glare at him like, yeah, we weren't on the same page with that. I don't know how you want to read that, but my thing is I'm glad they stuck to their board. I'm glad they did what they did. They got the players that they needed. And if we need to go and get maybe a hobbled star in Nick Chubb to give him a chance at trying to regain his footing, no pun intended, and or a Dobbs, or not Dobbs. What's
J.K. Dobbins?
J.K. Dobbins. If we want to try and take a chance on him being a little bit younger of a running back, I'm fine with that. You have so many directions that you can go at that position.
I think here's where it gets tough for me though, right? Like if you're going to take one right by the third round, all right, I'm here on the running back conversation, right? When we got to the fourth, I was like, all right, we'll take it. Like, take one. You got to take one. Let's take one. Please take one. Then we got.
Yeah.
I do like Kyle Monunga. I think he's gonna have an opportunity. Dang, Grady came in.
Man, where's Grady been? I was just looking like, hey.
Grady, then he said, Mr. Meaty's microphone smells like bacon and smoked ends.
Welcome back, buddy. Missed all your jokes.
Listen, you traded out of 72. Caleb Johnson went 83.
Yeah.
Is he somebody who's not on your board, or is he somebody who you felt was going to fall further and you missed out on? Right? Like that, that's kind of where the question marks do come in for me, where it's like, if the guy that was next on your board was, and we'll never know what they board perfectly is, but if the guy who's next on your board is 11 picks later, nobody's going to be sitting there flipping a table if he pans out and you took, who do we even take in the third round? We traded all the way out of the third round, right?
We had 3 second round picks, and then that was it. Yeah, we had 3 second rounders. And then we got the linebacker in the first round.
Like
so
that.
You got
that's
Ozzie
kind of,
Trapilo,
You got Ozzie Trapilo, and you ended up getting Shamar Turner by adding 2 second round picks, right? But then you spent all day, right? Maybe that's not your guy. But then, right, the running back position comes up again in the 4th round, and you trade back, and Dylan Sampson goes 126 because you traded too far back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is the question. And again, we'll never know what their board looks like. But the question is, it felt like the whole rest of the draft, again, right? Like Ian Rappaport was saying about the call-ups for Colston Loveland.
Colston, yeah.
It seemed like every time the Bears' next running back was taken, they traded back. Like almost to a T. Who was taken? Let's see. Cam Scatterbo was taken 105. The Bears trade back again with Buffalo at 109. Almost immediately. And they end up getting Ruben Hippolyte the third, also behind Dylan Sampson, who was taken 126.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, again, running back, y'all know how I feel about it. You can get it in the draft next year. You can get it in undrafted free agency. I think it's a position that you can find. But it did feel like you were chasing that position all day, and it forced you to make some bad decisions on day 3.
It forced you to make some bad decisions, but at the end of the day, I think you still did what you needed to do to round out this roster. And that's where I'm not necessarily worried about us missing on all the different running backs, because as we both said it, there's a ton of them in this draft.
Yeah.
I didn't even know anything about Kyle Monunga. That's why I was so excited when I did the deep dive on him. There's names out there that were still decent, and they've been undrafted. We just picked them up, the Deion Hamptons. There's names where if you give them a shot, okay, it looks like they might be something. There may be something there, and so that's why I'm not necessarily too worried. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying I'm adopting the Pat mindset of just give me any running back and pay him $100 per year.
Kyle Monunga paying out. Oh, y'all gonna see me doing a backflip in the studio.
I ain't gonna lie. If Kyle Monunga, his next contract gonna be like $5 million per year or something. He's gonna be so happy just to make $5 million.
Give him $1. They're gonna be like, we're gonna give you $1 a day.
He gonna lead the league in rushing and give him $1 a day.
Give you $1 a day, bro.
That would be hilarious. But I mean,
it's interesting though, right? The running back conversation, I think, is an interesting one where, listen, if Monangai pans out, nobody's going to be complaining about it. Everybody's going to be like, oh, you found this guy with amazing value. But it does seem like there is this want for the Chicago Bears to go out there and add more to this running back room because of this decision. Now, do you feel like, and hearing this, right, does it feel like Nick Chubb is probably a lock, or J.K. Dobbins? I don't think a Breece Hall trade is happening.
ooh.
I don't.
That doesn't make sense if DeAndre's still on the roster.
It makes zero sense after the draft.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense to trade Breece Hall before the draft, but at this point, if Breece Hall is traded now, they just hate him. Like, let's be real. Like,
get out of here.
Really? Like, if Breece Hall is traded now, like, oh, he's Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? We'll pay you to go away. Like, please, like, leave us alone. Because, like, there's no advantage to trading him now. That's right, Relentless Mikey. For $1 a day, you can help the Chicago Bears.
I forgot about the Sarah McLachlan music.
I don't know the rest of the words.
For $1 a day, that's hilarious.
I'm White Lady. For $1 a day, you can help Pat pay for running backs.
Running backs that he has no care for.
He could care less about it. But no, does it feel like it's probably a lock situation that the Bears are going to go out there and add a veteran into this, i.e. it sounds very much like Nick Chubb?
No, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it the other day. I think that he should be a lock to the Bears, and we talked about what other teams in our division would they be talking about if there's rumors, even in Cleveland, of him coming to the NFC North. I like how Hezzy mentioned it. You bring him in as a backup. You keep him healthy, keep his legs fresh. You're not going to be leaning heavily on him as the bell cow that he was. But, you bring a guy like that in with the pedigree, with the resume and the experience that he has, not too far removed, as I said, from his best season about 2.5 years ago. So, you see if there's something there. You bring his mentality, you bring his mentorship, his like I said, his experience, and you train up these other guys. You train up the Manung guys. You train up, maybe even a DeAndre Swift, who he is very familiar with coming out of Georgia. And so that's where I see that pairing being a good connection and a marriage, and a good marriage in a sense. I wouldn't mind a Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins. I'm fine with taking a chance on either one of those guys. I have no problem, and I'm not scared away by the injury history because, again, they're not coming in to be running back one. They're not coming in even sometimes to even be running back two.
That's my pushback, though.
Why?
Because who is? Like, if we being real, right? Let's look at the whole scenario. The dude you were about to trade for was going to end up becoming running back one. The guy that the Bears were trying to trade up for, Travion Henderson, was going to come into this season, and they were slowly going to be like,
maybe over time. Yeah, I don't think he was going to be overcoming DeAndre right away.
I say this right now: DeAndre Swift ain't blocking nothing in training camp.
He sure ain't. You ain't lying.
Hey, that's why Kyle Monangai is probably going to make this team. Like, it goes from the 7th round pick probably making this team. If it's the 2nd round pick, he's the starting running back. And Travion Henderson and DeAndre Swift do very similar things. Like, if you were going Quinshon Judkins, I would kind of be like, okay, he's a little bit of a different style of running back than what DeAndre Swift. Like, you were bringing him in if you were going after Travion to replace DeAndre Swift.
I mean,
so, like, for me, if Nick Chubb comes in and Nick Chubb is 80% of Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb's the number one running back.
I mean, if he's 80%, if he's anything more than that, I would put him at starting. Yeah, but like, you have to show me that.
Like, to me, it's one of those things where clearly we can see the Bears are trying to move on or make DeAndre Swift less important in this offense. Like, there's no way, unless we're hiding our heads in the sand, that you don't see that.
But see, would it be less important, or just use him where he's good at? He is not up the gut runner. He's not a heavy hitter. He's not a yards after contact guy. He's your Reggie Bush. He's your
Reggie Bush was a great gap scheme runner.
But I mean, like when he got hit, he got hit. It wasn't like he moved the pile in my sense. It wasn't like he was a Marshawn Lynch in my opinion, or a Derrick Henry type. I feel like those running backs thrive when they go, in the middle of that line. I feel like DeAndre Swift is better utilized when he's trying to run to the outside, or he's clearly got a hole where he can just burst and use his acceleration and his speed to his advantage. Outside of that, that's where it's like, okay, I don't know, we might need to go a different route. But
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, but I think that's why they want to go a different route. I think they want an outside zone runner, but I think you heard Eric Bieniemy say it on the podcast he did with Jeff Joniak. We want him to know that you can get 4.5 up the gut. I hope that DeAndre Swift can get 4.5 up the gut, but he couldn't get 4.5 up the gut with Philly's offensive line. Couldn't get 4.5 up the gut with Detroit's offensive line, and they were in much better spots than we were in.
True enough.
So I don't know. To me, it's just I think the conversation around whoever comes in here is maybe initially it's not going to be viewed as a replacement. It's not going to be viewed as a this is the guy that we want to take on the mantle. And I don't think Nick Chubb is going to be that guy for you anyway, unless he has like a phenomenal bounce back, healthy year. And again, a broken foot is not the end of the world, but paired with some of the other injuries, it does get a little concerning. But to me, at least, hearing that they wanted to trade out, hearing that they wanted to, wanted to move on, or wanted to go get Travion Henderson, hearing that, they tried to trade up for Ashton Genty, that screams to me like we know we need to be better at the running back position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that I keep going back to, and I think I heard this somewhere, I can't remember where, but at the very least, you bringing these guys in, it breeds competition. It breeds competition at the running back position. Nobody's just going to sit there and say, this is my job. No, you might be challenged before the season starts to get your job taken, whether it be the DeAndre Swifts or the Roshans as a backup. Now you got a Calvin Nunn guy who's a heavy hitter and can block very well, as you've seen on tape, who might be coming for your position or your job or your role. You got a Nick Chubb who, if he's fully healthy, might be coming for that number one spot as well, as your lead running back. And then you got the wide receiver room that's very deep now. And, there's people who are vying for that wide receiver 3 positions. Zacchaeus is Tyler Scott probably is still trying to get his name in that pack with the Luther Burdens. And so I think it breeds competition everywhere. I think that's the one thing Ben Johnson is doing very well, and this front office is doing very well, is that all of these different core positions, there's so much depth that, there's going to be a lot of fight to be impactful and have a role this upcoming season.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I think I've said it a couple of times. I think Tyler Scott watched that draft and saw Luther Burden go in the second round. Was like, ooh.
Like a little tear started coming down. Hello,
no.
darkness, my old friend.
Shane Gillis do it. Ooh, oh, no. Oh, this is way worse.
What do you always say? The fight? You would just say he came down. Ooh, what else you always say?
And when I came down. Oh, hey! Shout out to Kobe.
Tyler Scott.
Kobe gave us some great meme moments, bro. I don't know
all
why
the time, bro.
I don't know why they was climbing them crates, bro. But the memes was hilarious,
bro. The crates
down on that crate. People. I can laugh about it a lot harder now because I thought he was dead. Like somebody had put on Twitter that he died from that, and then they showed a video of Buddy like this year doing it again. I was like, oh snap, he's still alive. Yeah. Cool. I can laugh about this a lot harder because I just been laughing to myself.
Side note, the crate should have been illegal. I remember them doing that in Grant Park in Chicago.
That's as like this. He's from here.
No, bro. You got it. That was dangerous. That was dangerous.
When I came down. Oh.
Stupid mess.
Hey,
Oh,
man,
God.
you guys feel in the comments below, man. Let us know, do you like the Bears going out there and, I guess being in the big market for Nick Chubb. We'll see what ends up happening there.
Oh, boy.
We'll see where the running back room goes with this team. We also are over 100 in the chat.
Hey.
Over 200 in the chat.
All right.
Over 300 in the chat. Over 400 in the chat. 400.
I just thought about what Joel did last time. What did he do? He said,
I don't know what Joe was on. Yeah, Joe was
he did
wild. He
something.
sounded like Crumpet. Joe was wilding last time. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bet down.
Oh, God. See y'all, man. When I came down.
When I came down.
Oh.
Ooh.
I gotta
Hey,
go
if you
find
don't know
that.
what I'm talking about, go look that video up, bro. That mug had me crying, bro.